Hello and welcome to the SAT Masterclass by ACIE. Today is our day 5 and we will continue with our mathematics section. Last time we dealt with linear equations and inequalities, so a lot of graphs and a lot of equations. Today, however, we are going to be dealing with ratio, rates and proportions, unit conversion and percentage. All of these are quite different. In all of them we have rates ko kura, ratios harko धेरै कुरा हुन्छ. So I think all of this can be quite cohesive and I hope you guys understand today's content well. So moving on, our first content of the day is going to be ratio, rate and proportions. And like I said, ratio, rate and proportion we will understand and we'll solve questions on it. So let's move to the introduction and let's understand what ratio even means. This is something हामीले 6, 7, 8 पढिरहेको हो, nothing new, but it's just revision. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. The ratio of A to B can be represented as A is to B or A by B. And there are two different types of ratios, part to part or part to whole. So how it works is if there are 15 girls in the class and 15 boys in the class, and three of the girls decided to take part in a dance competition. So if the ratio is about something like how many girls took part from the class, if we are taking in account with the number of girls in the class, then it will be 3 by 15. That is part to part, whereas how many girls are taking part in the dance competition compared to the overall students of the class, that would have been 3 by 30, the overall population of the girls and the boys, which is called part to whole relation. So that is ratio, nothing new, everything is the same as we've studied before. Now moving on to rate. The rate is the quotient of a ratio where the quantities have different units. So it's really not anything different, it's just what is speed. Speed is distance by time taken, something on the lines of that is rate. That's it. And then moving on to proportion. A proportion is the equality of two ratios. So anything like 3 by 4 is equals to 9 by 12. These are the proportions. This and this means the same thing, and we can solve them to find out different answers. And यस्तो टाइममा चाहिँ mostly एउटा चाहिँ is going to be undefined, so we have to find out this value. यस्तो गरेर. That's it. Now an example to part to part and part to whole, I've already given it, but still one more. A ratio of lemon juice to sugar is a part to part ratio. It compares the amount of two ingredients. The ratio of lemon juice to lemonade is a part to whole ratio. It compares the amount of one ingredient to sum of all the ingredients present. Now, let's move on to one of the examples. It takes 120 seconds to print a certain school's handbook. It takes 150 seconds to print the handbook with 10 pages study skills supplement. Assuming the pages print at a constant rate, how many pages is the handbook without the supplement? अब reading the question itself, कुनै पनि एउटा certain स्कुलको handbook बनाउनको लागि चाहिँ हामीलाई 120 seconds लाग्छ time. Ani, it takes 150 seconds to print the handbook with 10 page study skills supplement. So this is to the handbook ko lagi time for a handbook along with certain extra things. Right? So extra भएको बेला चाहिँ it takes 150 seconds. Assuming the pages print at a constant rate, how many pages is the handbook without the supplement? So over here, first of all, 120 seconds लाग्छ to print X number of pages of the handbook. सबै pages say total sum of pages in the handbook without the 10 page study skill is X. है अब हामीलाई के भन्छ extra 10 page add भएको छ. So it's X plus 10. So we can do X plus 10 as well, but we know that the time difference is 30 seconds, right? So it takes 30 seconds to basically print 10 other extra sheets. Now we can use it in a proportion sense. 120 by 30 is equals to X by 10. Or that will be 1200 by 30 is equals to X 40. Therefore, the amount of pages in x is equals to 40, and that is our answer. Now moving on to our next topic of the day, it is unit conversion. Something that is again we have studied this a lot of times, especially in if you're a science student, then you have to do a lot of unit conversions as well. So I feel like this is a quite easier section of the ACT. And over here we'll learn to convert between into same units and also converting units in weights. So यतिकै हुँदा त convert गर्न सिक्छौँ भने, but when it's given in a rate, a certain rate ma, then also कसरी गर्ने भनेर. So when converting from smaller unit to larger unit, we have to divide by smaller unit, which means that if we have to convert meter into kilometers, then त्यो केसमा चाहिँ जुन मिटर्स दिएको छ, फर इक्जाम्पल 40 मिटर्स दिएको छ, त्यसलाई चाहिँ we're going to divide by the smaller unit itself, which means कति मिटर्स गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ 1 किलोमिटर हुन्छ, 1000 मिटर्स गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ 1 किलोमिटर हुन्छ. So this 1000 ले चाहिँ हामीले डिभाइड गर्छौँ. Now when converting from larger unit to smaller unit, for example 4 kilometers to meters मा लग्ने हो भने चाहिँ we're going to multiply by the smaller unit, which is again 1000. So 4 into 1000. So instead of writing smaller unit, maybe I should have written conversion unit, conversion of the smaller unit. But I think we all got the point over here. So सानोबाट ठुलो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ सानोको कन्भर्जन युनिटले डिभाइड गर्ने, बट ठुलोबाट सानो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ सानोको कन्भर्जन युनिटले मल्टिप्लाई गर्ने. अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ भनेको छ कि 5% concentration चाहिँ is active ingredient भनेर. So although the bottle is 40 ml, only 5% of the bottle itself is going to be the active ingredient मात्र, which means 5% भन्ने बित्तिकै 0.05 भयो into 40 ml is going to give us 2 ml. So only 2 ml is going to be हाम्रो actual concentration of the active ingredient itself नै. अब चाहिँ हामीलाई के सोधेको छ भन्दाखेरि यतिको लागि चाहिँ 2 ml को लागि चाहिँ हाम्रो 14.96 कस्ट गरिरहेको छ है, for total amount of active ingredient in the bottle, right? What is the price per ml of the active ingredient? 2 ml को लागि 14.96 लिइरहेको छ भने 1 ml को लागि is going to be 14.96 divided by 2. And that is going to give us our answer, which is going to be 7.48. And that is how you find out our correct answer over here. Now moving on, I have another question over here as well, and it is the speed of a space shuttle orbiting the Earth is 28,325 miles per hour. What is the distance in thousands of miles the space shuttle travels in 5 days? So सबैभन्दा पहिला the information के हो लेखौँ. One is that the speed of this shuttle itself is 28,325 miles per hours. So हरेक एक घण्टामा it travels 28,325 miles. That is what speed means, right? Now what is the distance in thousands of miles? This part is important and I'll come back to this later. The space shuttle travels in 5 days. So one day we have 24 hours. So altogether in 5 days we have to have 5 into 24 hours, which gives us 120 hours. So 120 hours मा चाहिँ यो space shuttle चाहिँ कति miles travel गर्छ त, which is going to be 120 into 28325 miles. So 120 into 28325 miles, which is going to give us 3399000. So it is 33,099,000 miles. But what over यहाँ के भनेको छ भन्दाखेरि what is the distance in thousands of miles? Thousands भन्ने बित्तिकै it means 3 zeros, right? So we have to cut the last 3 digits over here. in this case most of the time यस्तो क्वेसन्समा चाहिँ we normally have last month three zeros नै, but even if there's no three zeros and there's like 238, then just cut them out and use the first four digit. I don't need to round it off or anything, just first four digit के छ त्यही use गरिदिने हो. Like when I said itself, it's 33,099,000. So we're cutting off the thousand part, and so it's just 3399 now. So the answer would have been 3399. And over here we converted mainly the hours. So from day to we converted it into hours now, and that's what you're supposed to do. And with that, our unit conversion chapter is closed, and we'll move on to our third part of the day, which is going to be percentage. So over here in percentage, which is something again really common, we have already done it a lot of times. We have to first find out complementary percentage, and I'll tell you what it is. And also we need to know when we want to switch between the decimal forms, the fraction forms, and the percentage forms. Percentage भनेको त यस्तो फर्म भइहाल्यो, फ्र्याक्सन भनेको it would be 50 by 100 if you're trying to say 50 percentage, and if it is in decimal which means 0.5. So यो तिनवटा फर्ममा चाहिँ कुन बेला कस्तो युज गर्यो भने चाहिँ it will be more efficient. We'll learn that as well. So at the beginning, we have our introduction. The percentage is the ratio of something that represents a part to whole relationship. The percent means part from 100, right? So there are two values that are important for finding a percentage, a part and a whole. To calculate a percentage, use the following formula. We all know the formula: part by whole into 100. We can use equivalent forms of percentages interchangeably and choose the ones that suit our purpose the best. For example, 50% it's in percent को format नि, ratio को format भयो भने 50 is to 100 हुन्छ, fraction को format में 50 by 100 हुन्छ, which is again 1 by 1 is to 2 or 1 by 2, and decimal को format नि again the same 0.5. But I think in percentage question, what saves us the most amount of time is using the decimal format. Yes, sometimes we might have to write the answer in fraction format, but while dealing with the problem itself, we should mostly deal with like try it in decimal format. It saves up our time in the calculator itself, and it's easier to solve it by that way as well. Now moving on towards translating the word problems for percentage. Over here we have different quantities and what different things mean. So what means x, therefore any unknown variable or value, and is means equals to, so the sign itself. Of means multiplied by, and percent means divided by 100. And if a question is asked, perhaps 36 is what percent of 60? 36 is भनेको equals to what percent भने what भन्ने बित्तिकै x or any unknown variable percent of 60. This is what the question is trying to ask you, and we have to find out the value of the unknown variable x. Now the next thing is how to calculate percent change as well. So when there are two different scenarios given, or like a chain of reaction has happened, then a value can change. So whenever the value change we need to know the difference in the change itself. What is the actual change that occurred? And that has to be divided by initially से कति थियो. First condition में when nothing happened, त्यो बेला चाहिँ initial price कति थियो or initial condition कस्तो थियो, त्यो into 100 गर्यो भने चाहिँ we get the change को चाहिँ percent itself. Now moving on to a question given to us. A software distributor charges $41 for license of a particular utility. The distributor offers a 10% discount on each license after the first 20. How many would a business pay to buy 40 licenses of the utility in dollars? So first line of के भनेको छ $41 चाहिँ लाग्छ to make a license for a certain utility. है, तर फर्स्ट 20 बनाइसकेपछि चाहिँ 20 वटा सकिसकेपछि चाहिँ we get a discount of 10%. How many would a business pay to buy 40 licenses of the utility in dollars? So let's break it down. For the first 20 KT, you'll have to pay the full price. It will become 20 into $41. But after that, the change भएको छ. So instead of just $41, अब के गर्ने भन्दाखेरि there are a lot of ways you can calculate कति पैसा बाँकी हुन्छ भनेर. The first way is going to be $41 minus $41 into 10%. 41 minus blah 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 गर्दाखेरि 41 into 10 by 100 gara. It's a quite long process when we're using the percentage sign itself, right? Second could be an easier way, which is using the decimal format itself, right? And instead of doing 41 minus 41 into 0.1, what we can do is, we know that बाँकी त 90% छ नि त, 100% मा हाम्रो 10% काटेको हो, but that means that the value or the charge that we'll take is 90% of the actual price. So instead of doing the whole minus thing, we can just do 41 into 90%, or even easier in decimal format, 41 into 0.9, which gives us a value of 36.9. Therefore, 36.9 चाहिँ लाग्छ to get a license after the first 20 has been made. And use it for the coming 20 को लागि भयो. So this plus this is supposed to be our answer. So 36.9 into 20 is going to be 738, plus we have 20 into 41, which is going to be 820, which is going to give us 38,155,8. So that is the total amount required by a certain company to make 40 licenses. अब यति गरेपछि I guess percentage राम्ररी नै बुझिसकेको छ.